Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: my friend's boyfriend wanted to show me how to park, but he couldn't. The second story: new manager treats an IT department like it's a retail store. By sheer luck, this impacts the CEO almost immediately. Policy is reversed within 10 minutes. The third story: neighbors got a bad review after their garbage and dirt. On to the first story. You want to show me how to park my car? Have fun handling a car that does not baby you. Back in secondary school, I, then 18 female, went to a friend's 18th birthday party. The plan was to have cake and give presents at the birthday girl's home, then drive into the city center for a meal, followed by drinks in a bar. Since I didn't live close by, I would drive there and back home afterwards in my car either way. So I volunteered to be one of the drivers for the night. The 2 other people that would drive the party guests around were a family member of the birthday girl, as well as a guy I'll call Peter. Peter was the boyfriend of Amy, a girl in the same friends group as me and birthday girl. Our group had the rule that, unless something was explicitly labeled as a girl's day, all invitations included our respective romantic partners as a +1. From what I could tell, Peter was not close to anyone in our group other than Amy, but they only ever showed up together. I'm not kidding. Amy once refused an invitation to my birthday party because Peter would be busy with his studies that night. I never got along great with Peter, but I always acted civil and polite around him. Birthday girl lived in a part of town I had never been to before. While driving from her place to the restaurants, we drove through a stretch of road that had several hard-to-see curves, with several intersections and traffic lights, and several lines of road in each direction. The road is crowded with cars that drove at the speed limit. I did try not to drive too slow as not to block traffic, but I had to drive a little below speed limit. When we reached the restaurant, Peter pulls me aside. "Peter, you do know that you can cause accidents by driving too slow, don't you?" Me, annoyed, since I'm an experienced driver, and he has no reason to lecture me. Yes, I know, but I never drove on that road before, so I couldn't go full speed while navigating safely in that traffic. Also, I'm not sure that driving between 40 and 45 kilometers in a 50-kilometer zone can actually be considered too slow. He sneers and leaves to join Amy at the tables. Later, we drove to a different part of town for drinks. Mine was the last car to enter the parking lot, so the other cars had already parked by the time I found an empty spot. Now, there's something you should know about my car. It was a solid working car, but a bit on the older side. It drove well, but was missing some amenities newer cars had. Most annoyingly, it did not have hydraulic power steering. As a result, it was very hard to adjust the wheels while that car was standing still. It was possible, but did require some elbow grease. I was used to it and could move the steering wheel while standing with little problem, but I had also adjusted the way I drove to make it possible to do most adjusting while the car is still moving. Among other things, I was very careful while parking, as correcting the car's position mid-parking required wheel adjustment while standing still. I was letting my car roll slowly into the right position to get into the parking spot in one move. Just before I got to the spot where I had to start turning the steering wheel to get the right angle without having to stop, Peter left the group waiting for us and walked over to my car. I lowered my window. Peter, in the most condescending tone I've ever heard, "Well, how about I help you out and park that car for you, huh?" I was just about to explain to him just what I thought about condescending a-holes like him when my eyes fell on his car. His brand new car his parents bought him when he got his license. His nice car with all the amenities you could imagine. Cue the malicious compliance. I let my car roll up further to the exact spot where the wheels had to be fully adjusted in order for the car to fit into the spot. Then I shut off the motor, smiled, and said, "You know what? That sounds like a wonderful idea," and exited my car. He took my keys, started the motor, grabbed the steering wheel, and suddenly froze. His face turned to me with a scared look in his eyes. "Peter, does your car not have power steering?" Me, with the biggest grin. "Nope. Now go on and show me how to park my car." He had to adjust while standing several times until my car was finally in the spot. The friends in my car had a very hard time suppressing their laughter. He exited, handed me the keys, and did not even look at me for the rest of the night. I think I even saw him rubbing his upper arms in pain a couple of times. He never bothered me again. The second story is, we can't take our break while we're waiting on an email reply? Okay. This one happened at my current employer. Now keep in mind, I'm already checked out at this place because of our whole team being overworked and understaffed. The DMs to give are few and far between, but this one involved a fairly new coworker. We'll call him Ryan, and I'll be damned if I let management start abusing him this early in his career. So Ryan is the new help desk guy. He's the first to answer all calls, emails, tickets, etc. that come into our very busy IT help desk. One guy, that's it. I'm supposed to be level 3, but when management thinks frontline support for 250 people can be done by one person, I get to do more important things, like show employees where their PC's power button is. But that's not what this story is about. I should also point out our customers are actually just our employees. We don't support external customers at all, just our internal employees. Ryan has just gone to his legally mandated lunch break, and my manager IMs me. We'll call her Chad, because somehow the name fits her. Chad, a manager just called and said she saw Ryan walking to his car, and he's supposed to be helping her employee with their phone. Me, yeah, it was his lunchtime. Chad, why did he go to lunch when he was in the middle of helping a customer? Me, oh, it was just an email. I see here Ryan sent a reply and she didn't respond until after Ryan went to lunch. It's just a soft phone issue though, so she can still make calls using her desk phone. Chad, doesn't matter. He shouldn't leave when he was in the middle of working with a customer. Me, well, in his defense, we work like 5 to 10 issues at once, so if we didn't just drop what we were doing at break time, we'd never get one. We pretty much have to do that because of our workload. Now, I thought this was pretty reasonable, on account of us being overworked as heck. But apparently this was the wrong thing to say. Chad comes out of her office and walks up to me. Chad, if you're in an active conversation with our customers over phone or email, you should never stop until you resolve the issue. Me, wait, seriously? We do that on emails all the time. We always have. Nobody's gonna walk away during a phone conversation, but this was a fairly low priority email. Wrong move. Chad becomes visibly agitated that I'm not just rolling over and taking her directions with a smile and nod. She's a manager, and what she says goes. Chad, no, we're not gonna do that anymore. You never leave in the middle of helping a customer. Doesn't matter if it's a phone call or email. You need to stay with it until the problem is resolved. Go ahead and finish the soft phone issue that Ryan was working on and I'll speak to him when he gets back. Chad then turns and walks off without waiting for a reply from me. I realize she's new and probably doesn't understand just quite how ridiculous what she just said really is, but it bothers me that she disregarded my input completely and she's treating us like we're cashiers. This isn't a JCPenney. This is an IT department. We don't serve customers. We serve the needs of the business. I start daydreaming up all the different ways this could go badly. Labor law violations, massive overtime, huge backlogs since we'd be effectively waiting on a single customer to reply instead of working business-critical issues. But it turns out I didn't need to worry about that at all. ISHU not, 4 minutes later I get an IM from the CEO's assistant, Jan. Jan, CEO needs to listen to a voicemail ASAP, but he's forgotten his password. Can you reset it? Perfect. Me, I'm sorry, but I'm not available right now. You can speak with my manager though. Jan, oh wow, sorry, I'll do that. Now, just as a clarification, me and Jan are about as close to on-the-clock friends as coworkers could be. She's on the ball and can read between the lines instantly. She knows something is up because I'd never answer IM like that, and I wouldn't be stupid enough to tell the CEO I'm not available because I'm with a customer. Not even 2 minutes later, guess who shows up at my manager's door? I couldn't overhear the conversation, but it doesn't take long before Chad is back at my desk. Chad, so the CEO needs his voicemail password reset. Me, okay, well I'm still working with the customer on this soft phone issue, but a request from the CEO does sound pretty important to me. Chad, yeah. Me, so are you saying I should stop working this email and work on CEO's issue instead? Chad, please. Me, she probably won't get a response to her email until Ryan is back from lunch though. Chad, that's fine. Me, okay. It was never even mentioned to Ryan, and that's probably the fastest I'll ever see malicious compliance work its magic. And the last story is, never mess with a landlord then ask for a reference. So I'm a property manager of the house I live at for discounted rent. This means that I'm in charge of taking care of the property, finding tenants, making sure rent gets paid on time, basic things that a property manager does. So I had a friend who was looking for a place to live with his girlfriend, and since I knew them, I figured I would help them out. I was able to convince the owner to give them a discount on rent, about $300 lower than market value. In exchange, I told my friend that would need help with maintaining the property. Stuff like maintaining the garden, keeping up with the trash, ensuring the house is kept clean, pretty basic for a 26 and 28-year-old to do, right? Well, for the first month or so, it was perfect. House was maintained. It was like 4 adults lived there. After the 30-day test period went by and we signed a year lease, their true natures surfaced. Saying that I lived with pigs would be insulting actual pigs. It started out small. A bowl left out for a day or two here, some trash accidentally left on the floor there. Then it started accumulating. Suddenly, my basement and garage became the storage space for them, their family, and their friends' stuff. You'd think, hey, at least it's organized and not in the walkway, right? Nope, it was everywhere. I wouldn't be able to get into the garage because a bunch of stuff would be cluttered everywhere. Dishes would be left in the sink for weeks. Bathroom wouldn't be cleaned unless I started doing it. Black mold started growing in the bathroom. Other forms of mold would be growing in the kitchen because they wouldn't clean up after themselves. We'd get ants every day because they couldn't wipe down a counter after spilling sauce. When I did the house walkthrough, their room would look like a tornado and a hoarder had a baby. Slight exaggeration? Nope. Their pet would poop and pee around the house, and they wouldn't clean it. The smell was the final straw for me. I didn't understand how I could have 4 cats and 6 litter boxes around the house, yet somehow those areas smelled better than when I walked past their bedroom door. Keep in mind their door led to a staircase, and their actual bedroom is upstairs. They must have let trash accumulate for months. Finally, after about 7 months, I sent them a very professional and polite message, saying that after their lease is up, it would not be renewed. I told them we would not be kicking them out. However, if they wanted to move out early, I would accept a 30-day notice and not do any charge for the early termination, and I offered to give them their security deposit in full, without anything taken out if they left early. That's when SH hit the fan. One of the tenants completely blew up on me, basically calling me a bunch of names, saying I was a horrible friend, and threatening to sue me for breaking the lease. I repeatedly told them I was not kicking anyone out, and simply not renewing the lease. The remainder of their time, they decided to continue to let the house get worse, and I ended up having to get a cleaning service to help with the house. 2 months prior to their lease ending, they were several weeks late with their rent, and coming up with an excuse every time I asked. They gave me their 30-day notice, and then told me that because they did me a favor of moving out early, I should waive their rent for the last 2 months. I was livid but just wanted to get them out, so I paid the owner the money to get them out, costing me an extra $2,100 I shouldn't have had to pay. I just wanted to get them to leave. $2,100 is not much when you're living with roommates from hell. These people decided that since I apparently owed them more favors, they weren't going to change their address, so it looks like they have a longer residence. So we kept getting their mail for months, which I would just return it to the mailman. Then one of the former tenants sent me a message, asking me to be their reference for when they apply for apartments, as they've been saying they still live with me. Why, of course I'll be your reference. I started getting emails daily asking questions about said tenants, and whether I would rent to them again. Some of them would include personal statements on what they said about themselves as tenants, and asked me if I agreed with them. Now here's where the malicious compliance comes in. I dutifully did what my prior tenants asked. In fact, I'd say I went above and beyond. I answered the reference questions with complete honesty, and even included pictures of the state of the house in conversations. I took every phone interview that was requested. It was quite satisfying hearing the other property managers thank me for my honesty. Last I heard, they're living in someone's basement, for almost double of what it's worth. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.